Welcome to video number 42. I'm Rick Miracle, and the series is Freemasonry and Satanism, book reviews. And this book and this topic should be quite controversial. Could be, a lot of people need to know this. Anyways, Nesta Webster and Kurt Kerlan, K-E-R-L-A-N, BOCHE, BOCHE, and BOCHE. So when you say BOCHE, that means German. German soldier, Germans. And Bolsheviks were the Bolshevik Jewish people who seemed to be same as the Illuminati, in league with the Illuminati, the Zionists, the banksters, the people who seem to have grappled control of the whole world right now. This pamphlet, this book, has 92 pages and was written in 1923. And if we remember our history, 1913, in December, Mr. President Wilson, in league with the Rothschild Bank of England and several other cohorts in the deal, Christmas vacation, Congress was on vacation. Anyways, they executed some paperwork and created the Federal Reserve. They basically took over the USA money supply. What essentially means they took over the USA. And this is in 1913. And 6 months later, in June in 1914, World War I began. And we are aware, and if you've been watching my videos, that the Rothschilds, the Zionist Jewish folks, made an agreement with a Mr. Balfour, Lord Balfour in the UK, United Kingdom, that basically said that the Rothschild, Zionist, Jewish, Bolshevik people would finance the United Kingdom in the war with Germany if the United Kingdom would recognize the state of Israel in Palestine. So in other words, give the Palestine land to the Rothschilds to create the state of Israel. So behind the scenes was that agreement, and of course they needed money and control of the USA. So 6 months prior to World War I, they created the Federal Reserve. And from what I've been researching, they had to put delays to start World War I several times to get all the ducks in a row. And it's those ducks we're going to talk about here. So I'll just jump right in. And Nesta Webster is no unknown person. She's quite famous as an author, a historian. So her word has never really been in dispute. And we'll get into one of her other books also. And I do realize it takes a little bit to watch these videos. It can be a little dry, and and you may have to pay attention. But if you've been watching my videos, they go up and down. Sometimes just information reading, and then I do my photo thing, which I'm going to do here. That should be quite interesting. And then sometimes the information just explodes if you continue watching the video. But it's the entire amount of information that's important. Because this is August 2014. Interestingly enough, 1914 was the beginning of World War I. So 100 years ago. Interesting. And it looks to me like they're preparing for World War III, which, as we all know, Albert Pike wrote a letter to one of his friends overseas in Europe and discussed the whole World War I, why it would be fought, World War II, why it would be fought, and World War III, why it would be fought. And he was correct on World War I and correct on World War II. And the turmoil in the Middle East is exactly what he said would cause World War III. So I don't know about you, but here I am in the North Carolina mountains, and I don't want to see World War III. So I'm doing these videos to try to expose who, why, what, and where, what's going on. And I've been all over the board on these subjects, from aliens to remote viewing, psychic research, just about all kinds of history. And I think it's all connected. If these people controlled the world 100 years ago, and now with all the advancements in technology, computers, they can watch you in your living room basically on your TV, they say. And if you go on YouTube, there's been some control boxes with cameras aimed at you. You can search that for yourself. So if they were as dastardly and as murderous and deceptive as they were, if they're the same today, which it appears they are, as they were 100 years ago, we're in trouble. So why don't I just start reading? And basically I can change that title if you want me to. It means Germans and the Jews. And if you know what I've been saying, a lot of good Jews are opposed to the Zionist Jewish people. So I can't be a racist because I embrace the opinion of the God-believing Jews, who, if you go on YouTube and look up Zionism and images, those two words, you will find a Yahoo site with the photos, and you will see all the Orthodox good Jews, secular or not even religious people, opposed to this Zionism program. And to clarify what it is, in my opinion, is when Moses came down the mountain speaking to the light god, the fiery bush, whatever, he found the Jewish people that he had helped get out of Egypt having a big party, drunken orgy sex, around a golden calf Moloch, which would be satanic, occultic, religious. So you have the divide of him in the mountain talking to God, coming back, seeing them having a party around an idol, a golden calf, symbolic of the Luciferian, satanic, Illuminati, Zionism, Rosicrucian, Church of Satan, Hollywood, banksters, New World Order, New Age, cult material. So that's the dividing line. So there's a lot of good Jewish people who are opposed to the Zionist Jewish program, which is basically the people who have gone off in the direction of the Church of Satan. And it's in this material. And these people used millions and billions of dollars, and they bribe people today. They brought, many of the U.S. politicians are bought and paid for. And the newspapers, the Trevlon in his hoodie in Florida getting shot by the guard, or the Ferguson issue right now in the St. Louis suburbs where a white police officer shot a black man. The newspapers, which are owned by the Zionist Illuminati people, are building this up into a big hatred between blacks and whites. And they're not just doing that. They got the straight people and marriage, gay marriage issue, the divide. They got the immigration and Mexican and the U.S. citizens divide. They got the Middle Eastern Islam and the USA Christianity divide. So the old adage, divide and conquer, is being propagandized quite largely right now. Again, all that's in this book of 1923, written about what happened during the Russian Revolution and the World War I, etc. So here we go. According to a pamphlet published by the National Security League in New York, the German ambassadors, ministers, and consuls in neutral countries were notified as early as February 1915 of the arrangements made for the disintegration of Germany's opponents. It is brought to your knowledge, this is a little pamphlet, a letter, that in the countries where you are accredited, there have been founded special bureaus for organizing propaganda in countries of a coalition at war with Germany. The propaganda will have for its aim the inception of the social movements and civil war, as well as an agitation in favor of disarmament and the cessation of this bloody war. And that comes out of The Tentacles of the German Octopus in America by Dr. Earl E. Sperry. So what we just read in that little paragraph is the agitation in favor of disarmament. I know in the United States they want to take away the people's guns. And the propaganda, we got propaganda everywhere. So anyways, clearly then, at least 2.5 years before the Bolshevik German coup Germany had been organizing seditious propaganda in the countries of the Allies. 1915. Lenin went to Berlin and offered his services to the German Foreign League. These were at first refused, but a month later, through the intervention of the Jew Purvis, I guess it's a Jewish guy named Purvis, Lenin was recalled to Berlin, entrusted with the task of demoralizing the Russian and French armies. Immediately on the declaration of war, Lenin was to receive 70 million marks, after which further sums would be paid to his order when necessary. On the continent, the most important German agent was probably the Jew Purvis, and General Spiridovich's new book reveals the enormous services he rendered to Germany throughout the war. It shows, moreover, that Purvis, alias Halifant, alias Israel Lazarevich, had, like his protege Lenin, entered into relations with the German government before the war began. As early as 1886, he had become a member of the German Social Democratic Party and was clever enough, like Cresson, to combine revolutionary activities with commerce. This role he continued throughout the war when, in the course of amassing a large fortune for himself, he acted as a German agent in Constantinople, the Balkans, and in Geneva, where he founded the so-called Bureau of Economic Investigation, which was really the Bureau of pro-German propaganda of the German espionage. So I always like how they use the names like they do now. Bureau of Economic Investigation. That sounds benign. But at least we remember what happened. It was actually the Bureau of Pro-German Propaganda and of German Espionage. Okay, Jew and Prussian. It was on the advice of this socialist, war profiteer, that Lenin was dispatched in the famous sealed train from Switzerland to Russia. At the same time, in accordance with the time-ordered practice of Prussian, and also through the influence of her allies in Jewish finance, Rothschilds, Illuminati, a number of Jewish agitators, including the Australian deserter Radek, alias Sobreson, were selected to accompany him, and after his arrival, to form the principal members of the Soviet government. What's interesting when you read this and study this, and we hear about Putin today and the Ukraine, when they did take over Russia back then after the Russian Revolution, call me crazy, but I hardly would think that they ever let loose control of Russia. They haven't stopped their New World Order plans, and when they did tear down the wall and said that Russia financially went bankrupt, and all the elites took over all the assets, so basically they didn't want to provide the social benefits and care for the people, So they let it crash, and all the elites took all the assets and companies and oil companies and mineral. And so they had a scheme in mind, and it was to their benefit, in my opinion, to allow that crash of Russia, which still maintains its nuclear weapons. And so I still believe these Illuminati, New World Order, New Age folks still control Russia. And the propaganda coming out of there is a deception to mislead the world's people. But as we read this book, I think that will become even more obvious. The army of the Soviets is in reality the German army of Russia, placed under the German Jewish command. Under the title of Projects for a Political Offensive Against England in 1918, published by Ludendorff, that's General Ludendorff, we find plans suggested and approved by Ludendorff and forwarded by him to Bethmann Hollweg, some of these names, with, as he says himself, the strongest possible recommendation for a campaign of German political propaganda, which is to have the effect of producing strikes in the English war industries, munitions, aircraft, tanks, shipbuilding, etc. So the propaganda was, they were sent agents over to England to cause strikes, people to strike and ask for higher wages or better conditions. This is part of the propaganda war machine, how they internally cause all the strife. Again, like we have in the USA right now, and the intensification of the issues that divide people. Again, like that situation in Ferguson, where the white officer shot the black guy, or the Trevon issue in Florida, where the security guard shot the black guy at night. You know, these are war crimes, or they were not, or they were. But I think the proper individuals in charge should have investigated them and taken the appropriate action. And I think it's needless that the media made anarchy and chaos out of the situation. But if you read these books that I've been doing, that's exactly what the Illuminati, communism, I guess you could say, Zionism, Jewish folks who own our newspaper press systems, which a lot of people admit, and Hollywood. There's books written. Who controls Hollywood? I mean, they brag about it. So there's no mystery here. So there is a war, I guess a quiet war going on right now. And they do want to rile up people. They've been arming all the police officers with tank-like vehicles and guns and equipment gear, and I mean, it's like the police departments across the country are now the military, and this has been under preparation for at least 10 years, and you know, with high intensity. So, and the intensification of the revolutionary currents among the English working masses. That's what they did back in 1922 it says here, April 27th. Intensification of the revolutionary currents among the English working masses. So it is my opinion the economic condition in the USA is going to get worse, which will make a more hairline trigger effect on being able to cause more riot situations like in Ferguson. You know, the people will get more stressed and more tense, and it'll be easier to do, and they get more incidences where a white cop will shoot a black person or a minority, and the media will explode it. They want the flames of revolution to go crazy in the streets. There's a bigger game afoot. Anyways, page 9. At the same moment, the Prussian War Office issued an order for the selection of German soldiers with a good knowledge of French and English to act as agitators. 1922 now. So they did it back then. They did it during World War II also, and they're doing it now. They will follow courses and lectures organized by the War Office concerning Bolshevistic Jewish aims, and plans. And I'm going to add Bolshevik Jewish to that word every time it says Bolsheviks. Not every time. But we need to know who these people are. And again, there are like Rabbi Marvin Edelman, who wrote To Eliminate the Opate, a Jewish rabbi of the General Council for the United States, the lead rabbi, wrote the 2 books To Eliminate the Opate, warning about these Zionist revolutionary take over the world Bolshevik Jewish folks. So I'm hardly anti-Semitic when I'm joining the side of the picket line with the good Jewish folks. Again, look up Zionism and images on the internet, Yahoo or Google, and look at the Yahoo or Google image website, and you'll see all the evidence. Many Jewish folks are against this. They don't want the New World Order under Lucifer either. 666. Chipping everybody. Alright, so it says here, they will follow courses and lectures organized by the War Office concerning Bolshevistic aims and plans, and they will be designated to spread Bolshevik Jewish propaganda in France and England. The men will be plentiful, provided for, and will be insured against any accident. Page 12. I'm just skipping through this book on some stuff I highlighted. I was watching a video called The Satan's Synagogue of Satan, and the author or the speaker in that video on the internet, Synagogue of Satan, look it up. He showed a lot of books he went through, and of course, you know me, I don't believe anybody. I have to go buy the books and read them myself. And that's why I do my videos this way, because I'm reading from the books, so that you can save some time. Page 12. He shows how the system of industrial exploitation, camouflaged as communism, has been backed up throughout by the Deutsche Bank and the banking system in Germany. That's where Rothschild's got his start from. So the banking system in Germany, the Deutsche Bank, was probably under these Zionism Jewish folks who wanted to have a national homeland, Israel, and had plans for controlling and dominating the world. Anyways, it says here, which, as the brains of the German banking organization, maintains relations with German financiers naturalized as English or Americans in London and New York. Thus he writes, it is truly Bolshevism Jewish leads. It is true Bolshevism Jewish leads necessarily to the exploration of Russia for the profit of a syndicate of super capitalists, for which the real leaders are Jews and Germans, that after the period of frightful license which was necessary for the collapse of Russia, Russian workmen are now subject to a regime 100 times more tyrannical than that of the Tsar. So there you have it. If they do accomplish the revolution in the USA, and the Illuminati, the banksters, the Zionists, and not all these people are Jewish. A lot of Christians are bought and paid for. They don't really worry about God. They do human sacrifices and do satanic rituals, like the ones at the Bohemian Grove, videoed by Alex Jones. So it really, a lot of people have joined the Lucifer team. And it says here, the Russian workmen are now subjected to a regime 100 times more tyrannical than that of the Tsar. So we can assume if they do pull off the revolution in the United States, the chaos and anarchy and mayhem in the streets and the police are all armed up, that it will be, I'll just change the word here, United States work people, men and women, are now subjected to a regime 100 times more tyrannical than that of the current constitutional government. Just I could change the words for this whole book here to match today. This is the real purpose of Bolshevik Jewish agitation in England. The Bolshevik Jewish regime in Russia has not ended in failure. The plan of Germany and her Jewish allies has succeeded admirably. The Russian owners of land and property have been dispossessed, like they have done in the United States. And in North Carolina in the news recently, more and more small farmers are losing their farms. And that means us people are going to be subject and dependent on these corporate-owned farms who can turn the food supply off at any time they want. So for them to shut down the small farmers is very dangerous for us citizens. The Russian owners of land and property had been dispossessed. Russian industry had been wrecked. The Russian workers have been reduced to a condition so abject that they are ready to work for any master who will give them only bread, and now the same conditions are to be produced elsewhere. Yeah, like in the United States and the rest of the world. This is the real purpose of the Bolshevik Jewish agitation in England, where already native industry is being slowly crushed to death and native capital is being driven from the country. And again in 2014, 100 years later, it seems they're using the same plan. Might not bode well for us people if we don't wake up. That's why I've been reading these books and doing the videos. Anyways, let's move in here. Here we go. Jewish aims. The German hidden hand. The German hidden hand. You're going to love this. The Prussian War Office in April 1919 was as little Prussian as it was English or French. At that time, the following Jews were the chiefs of the different departments: Goldschmidt, Nesward, Lowley, Schlesinger, Waschitsky, Zeker, Brun, Reppenhausen, washed there by the mud waves of the German Revolution. So the German Revolution brought in all these Jews as the controllers of the country. And anybody who looks on the internet and looks at all the people under Bush or under Obama, 90%, 99, 95% of them were all Jewish, dual citizenry, of the U.S. and Israel. And if anybody has been doing any studying at all, they know that Jewish Hebrews, most of them, worldwide, no matter where they live, their real alliance and allegiance is to their homeland. And that's written in many books. Their tribesman, Sothomheimer, on April 2, 1919, said at the communist meeting in Munich, where the Jew Mudsam in the chair, so I guess he was the head speaker, Musan, the conditions of the armistice are much too lenient for the German people. So after Germany lost the war, the treaty, the surrender, and the conditions, the rules they were under, was much too lenient for the German people. And that's what the Jewish leadership decided. And if you know your history, you know that they put such constraints on the German people after World War I that it was horrible. The German people couldn't work, eat, or nothing, or live, or it was devastating, which was intentional. Neither Moscow nor Berlin have been the center of manufacture for these article of export doctrines. There has been always and will remain, where it is still at present, the hidden hand. So I thought I would do a little photo shoot because I'm noticing this word, the hidden hand. So it makes me wonder, who is the hidden hand? Should we be concerned about a hidden hand? Let me make a little point here. This is what they do. See, my hand is hidden. Up there doing a speech. That's the hidden hand signal. It's a Masonic symbol. So I have some pictures. All right, for some excitement. Abraham Lincoln was the leader, before he was president, of the entire organized groups Rosicrucians in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. And the Rosicrucians are just another Masonic, Luciferian, occult religion. And there's the hidden hand. So if you go to court and you're one of these people, you hide your hand and they know who you are. Big Daddy Cain, Prince of Darkness, does the hidden hand. See the woman laying there? This is all occultic. So anybody wants to call me anti-Jewish is wrong. I'm anti anybody who's worshiping Lucifer. And I'll say that that's true. I'm not worried about anybody calling me anti-devil. Anyways, you can see over there in the military, the hidden hand. Trotsky, Karl Marx, the Russian Revolution people, the hidden hand. Look, Abraham Lincoln did the hidden hand. Even during the French Revolution and the American War, the colonies, the hidden hand. The British, the Masonic hidden hand. Obama, the hidden hand. You can't make this stuff up, folks. The hidden hand, Obama. Colin Powell, the hidden hand. They're telling us. George Steinbrenner, the hidden hand. It's in this book. Again, Deutsch and Bolshevik should just say Germany and the Zionist Jewish people. Rothschilds, the Illuminati. George Washington, the hidden hand. And all I did is put the hidden hand in images on the internet. And there's a website that hit the hidden hand images. And I copied some to a little drive stick and went down. So even in the ancient monuments, the wind is blowing my stuff around, they got the hidden hand and the snake. Are you going to love this? Karl Marx, Egyptian god, Nazis, Napoleon, Wellington, Stalin, the hidden hand. Go on the internet, the hidden hand images, do a search, see for yourself. Who would have thunk this? Alright, the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, see the eye on the top and the snakes? It's the Illuminati, the hidden hand. The hidden hand presidency. He doesn't have his hand hidden, but somebody wrote this book, so I suspect he knows more than I do. Eisenhower, the hidden hand. The leader during the war between the North and the South, the hidden hand. Stalin, Napoleon, whoever, who these leaders are. Lenin, that's Lenin there. The hidden hand. A Masonic symbol. The hidden hand. Dialogue with hidden hand. Self-proclaimed Illuminati insider. The hidden hand. Mother, teacher, and destroyer. The hidden hand. Again, Napoleon, all kinds of leaders. Everywhere are using the hidden hand. Maybe we all ought to start running around hiding our hand like that so we'll confuse them. They have their secret meetings. This was on that hidden hand image site. And I have a little link at the bottom of these pictures that tells you where the information came from. The Oddfellows Masonic lodges that you see on buildings around the different towns with the all-seeing eye and the chain, and the hidden hand. Can't make this stuff up. Is that Trotsky? The hidden hand. The ruler of Russia, who killed, what, 60 million Christians and good folks? The hidden hand did that. The Hidden Hand by Woody Mammoth. The Hidden Hand, 2007. Here we go with the skulls and bones. The Hidden Hand. Another leader, Hidden Hand. Skull and Bones. See the guy with the hidden hand? To the fault where my hand is, my fingers. Rothschilds, the people who own the banks. The Illuminati. The hidden hand. Connecting the dots, that's what I do. The hidden hand. The resurrection of Whiskey Fody. So go look at the hidden hand. So again, when I sit here and talk about this and somebody says, oh, he doesn't like Jewish folks and all that, it's completely wrong. I'm anti-hidden hand. Let's get back to the book. Alright, page 22. To pick out only one specimen, also early in 1919, the Jew president of the Bavarian State of the People, Isidor Kozmansky, alias Kurt Eisner, falsified important documents with the full intention of gaining France's good graces and pulling down the country. Ah, the deceivers. Of which he happened to be the president. I wonder if our presidents that we've been having lately have been working behind the scenes with the hidden hand to pull down the country and cause us to have a revolution and kill 60, 100, 200 million people. The Jewish government of Germany, see, the German government was run by the Jewish people, had just now forbidden the former ambassador in London, Prince Linatsky, the former minister, Count von Brockendorf, and others to be witnesses in the trial of Eisner's private secretary, the Jude Fiechenbach. They were not allowed to speak because this government, this Jewish-run government, has nothing to fear but exposure. They do protect their own. And as what the Masonic lodges, when you join, you swear on a Bible with a dagger punctured against your chest and a blindfold and a noose around your neck that you will protect all your fellow men and keep all the secrets, or they will split your guts and throw you on a beach to rot. So all these occultic groups swear allegiances to protect each other. So if you're one of these people and you commit a crime, they will get you out of jail. Whereas a good person, if I were to make a small mistake, even unintentionally, it would persecute me to the ends of the earth to destroy me and you, because if you're a good person, you're the enemy. Which during the Russian Revolution, after that, when they, for 20 years or 15 years, and they slaughtered 60 million, anybody who exhibited any compassion, any kind of kindness, any decency, any morality, was killed. That was your crime. If you were evil, you got a good job. You got a lot of money. You got the gold when they looted Russia. Are they going to loot the USA? Apparently they have already been looting us. All right. right, going back to the book. Webster confirms several quotations given above. All democratic parties in Germany, whether they call themselves democratic, pure and simple, or with some adjective as social, are but other names for the hidden hand. All these factions and parties being but the fighting units for the Jewish, Bolshevik, Zionism, I'm adding a few words, Illuminati, they call it Jewry. But I know for a fact Henry Macau wrote the book, Canadian famous author, PhD, a Jewish guy in Canada, wrote the book Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world. He's talking about the hidden hand. If there was ever a body which has done its very best to destroy Germany before, during and after the war, it has been and is still the Jew-led Social Democratic Party. I'll add some to that. The hidden hand, the Illuminati, the Zionism. The people who worship Lucifer. They've got no qualms about murdering children and women and seeing people starve to death. They worship Lucifer. That's Lucifer's program, the opposite of the Ten Commandments, if anybody doesn't know. Okay, here it says, I get a little motivated here. To start with, the Jews, Marx and Lassalle, its founders, and at the end the Philip Schielemann, were the withering hand who swore allegiance to the emperor and to Germany as the imperial German minister, and portrayed both in almost the same breath. So they swore allegiance and they betrayed them at the same time. The hidden hand. That party has never changed in its boundless fury and hatred against throne, altar, and everything that is dear to decent white men, and it has done so notwithstanding its many shades of red. In this party, the exploding cartridges, the dynamite charges, were and are still the overpowering Jewish Illuminati Zionist element, amongst which Israel Lazarevich was certainly a whole shipload of gun cotton. Alright, skip it on. He, as well as the general staff, wanted to repair the damages done to Russia, which were pointed out by them, but the Jewish government in Germany refused to have their tribesmen hurt. So it was the Bolshevik Jews that did do the Russian Revolution. After World War I, when Russia had been weakened, and it was all a conspiracy, the Tsar in Russia and his whole family were all slaughtered in one night, a dozen or 2 dozen people. And one guy went through there and killed them all. And they made him a leader. The Russian army attacked us again. In view of the limited military means, the Supreme Army Command could not refuse the help offered by the Chancellor, not even of such a doubtful and dangerous kind as the transport of Lenin and the company to Russia. The military had to think, as Bismarck had pronounced it, exclusively for the final success. Eventually, disadvantages arising from employing particular means were to be obliterated later on. The Supreme Army Command could not oppose the Chancellor if he, in this case, really promoted peace. Alright, let's see what else we got here. It says here, it will be readily admitted that he, in good faith, has accepted these falsehoods, which were palmed upon him by the one enemy of all mankind, page 26. And his book would be almost perfect if in a new edition he would replace always the wrong word pan-German by the right substitute pan-Jewish. So in other words, the German entire world should be said a Jewish entire world. That's what pan-German or pan-Jewish means. Ultimate purpose of Bolshevism, Zionism, Jewism, and again, not the good Jews who pray to God and believe in God, like good Christians who believe in God, and Muslims and any other religion in the world. Decent people, no matter what religion, if they don't even have any religion. If they're good people and they believe in morality and rights and treating your fellow man like you want to be treated, as Jesus said, if that's your attitude, you are a threat to the Bolshevik, Zionism, Illuminati, New World Order, New Age, Lucifer worshipping people, Jewish or not. Though Mrs. Webster is near the mark when predicting in her book World Revolution that Bolshevism was nothing but industrial exploitation of Russia by a German and Jewish company of super capitalists, she would have hit right in the middle by the center by saying that Bolshevism, and I'm going to add some words, Illuminati, Zionism, Church of Satan, Rosicrucian, Freemasonry, Hollywood, banksters, all these people who sold us decent people out, is the absolute world supremacy, exploitation, and mastery by the one real super capitalist. In other words, that Bolshevism is but another name for Jewry, and again, I want to define, it's the Zionist, New World Order, Lucifer worshipping people we're talking about, the people who arranged for the winner on the Eurovision, like our American Idol, to be that guy Conchita Wurst, whose head was dressed up like Jesus, his body in a silky dress, and it means P-U-S-Y for the first name, they say, and sausage for the last name, singing the Phoenix Rising song, which has the words in it, "You can't stop us." And he's a spokesman for the gay agenda and bisexuality and drag queen and transvestites and bisexuality and adulteress. This is what you're dealing with, Bolshevism. Alright, The Hague has been chosen only for another pronunciamento of its board of directors, whom Miss Webster also mentions as having demanded a great international syndicate, is the Jewish general manager of that super capitalist concern, that would be The Hague, of which the president, German Minister for Finance Affairs, Walter Rather, is the president. This concern controlled in 1914 already 1/3 of all industrial capital invested in Germany. This Jew, rather, whilst he is still the confidential advisor of the ex-Kaiser, Kaiser is the leader in Germany, published at Christmas 1917 a book, The New Economy, in which he wrote, fully knowing what was going to happen some 10 months later. The U.S. is not a question of a Western or any other democracy, nor a parliamentary rule or something similar. True democracy, government by the people, has never existed anywhere except perhaps in the short days of revolution. Everywhere in the world persons do reign, and the only question is a state of caste or a state of the people. The state of the people will come, in spite of its enemies and of those who drivel about a special German freedom and prove it too. Alright, Tobich Sobelson, I have trouble with these names, triumphantly declared before 800 communist delegates in Berlin that presently the compulsory Bolshevism of Germany, Bolshevization, that would be the Zionist Jewish people running the country, the banks, that presently, and this is after World War I, where they pretty much enslaved and killed a lot of German people, innocent people, citizens. At presently, compulsory Bolshevization of Germany would commence, and after it is England's turn. So this is 1922, 1923. So I guess the Bolshevization of the USA is almost on its way, if anybody's paying attention to the media. and the divide and conquer tactics they use. So people need to wake up and realize that the shenanigans that they feed us is garbage. We can't react to what things they want us to react to. We need to get them. The funny thing is, I saw a bumper sticker. It says the 1% who own 99% of the world, the elites, these people, the Bolsheviks, and their cronies. So the 1% that own 99% of the world want to make the middle class, that's about 50% of the people, blame the other 50%, so 49 and 49%, the poor people, on the problem. So the 1% that has all the money wants the middle class to blame the poor. And then they want the poor to blame the middle class. And the people over here on the tangent line where you see how much money people have, and then the 1% at the end of the line, it goes off to a peak to the sky. The 1% of the people of the world own 99%. They want the middle class to blame the poor, and they want the poor to blame the middle class. And kill each other. The red roller will come from the east, where the people die from hunger. So if you're dying from hunger, what will you do? What will the masses do? Ferguson, up there in St. Louis, where cannibalism reigns supreme. It is their only salvation to swarm from the bare fields, destroyed by the Soviet regime, like locusts to fresh pastures. This is the plan and nothing else. The Rapallo Treaty is neither a German-Russian treaty, as Mr. Lloyd George had named it, a treaty between the German and Russian nations, not a treaty at all, but is but a dot upon the eye of the enterprise of all the Jews of the whole world. They got a funny thing here. It says, Germany. It is disheartening that a brilliant student of history like Mrs. Webster, the author of this book, is unable, and these articles that I'm reading were some articles that were in newspapers back at that time, and Nesta Webster had written an article, and other people had disputed them or debated them. So here's one of the debates about what she wrote. It is disheartening that a brilliant student of history like Mrs. Webster is unable to see through all this. She seems not yet to have noticed that there exist two distinctly different Germanies, Germany and Jewmany for the Jewish people. German names are so like Jewish ones, the German language and the Yiddish are so much alike, and yet they are as different as water is from fire. The skill by which Jewry is able to divide white nations so that they cut each other's throats for Jewry's gain is only surpassed by the average Gentile inability to distinguish. So in other words, the poor hating the middle class and the middle class hating the poor is a plan of the Zionism, Illuminati, world order people, 1% who own 99%. And I'm going to say this frankly, the stupid citizens don't get it yet. My opinion. All the more necessary it is to expose the lies for which Christian nations are continuously kept apart for a fiendish purpose. If Mrs. Webster were to pay a visit to Germany, as she has recently paid one to France, she would be also convinced that no people desire more sincerely peace than the real Germans. The author would not mind showing her around, if she wishes, to meet real Germans. But it is not the desire of Jewry, Illuminati, Zionism, banksters, Rothschilds, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, I'm adding all this, Hollywood, that real English and real Germans should meet. And in the United States, they don't want all real people to love each other, they want to divide everybody. Jewry, Illuminati, Zionism, etc., etc., intends to complete its absolute sovereignty, not only over Germany, but also over all the other lands riches, wealth, and peoples of the whole world. If the Gentiles should meet, they might recognize that they are all dupes, dopes, stupid. And then it might not be so easy for the evil people to do what they're doing now. I ad-libbed that. Miss Webster, by her article, certainly wanted to draw her own people's attention to the imminent danger, and she is perfectly right in doing so. But unknowingly, and certainly against her will, she helps Jewry in doing its own work. Thinking to help to avert the danger, she increases it by splitting the white people further apart from Jewry's aims and purposes. And as George Bush said, and Obama recently said, and even the Pope and many others, Kissinger, New World Order. And trust me, like they said in this book here, when they do, if they pull off the revolution in the United States, and they can pull it off several ways. They can explode a couple nuclear bombs in our cities and say it's an attack and cause martial law. And then the slaughter will begin of the people who revolt or don't behave. And behave, I mean, cooperate and be a slave. Or they could do a plague, let loose some bacteria. Or they could crash the dollar. But the people, even though they know all this, they just won't see the real purpose. If they didn't react to any of those things that they do, and stood there and laughed and said, we're not cooperating with you as a whole nation, they would be stuck. Anyways, to finish off this video, she works only into the hands of the socialists, who are not but Jewry's minions, Jewish people's minions. Yeah, this thing with justice and socialism and food stamps and all this stuff in America, it's just made people slaves to the state. What was that? In the news recently, a library in Pennsylvania was giving out free seeds to grow in your garden, and the federal government stepped in and said you can't do that. They don't want us to have gardens. Why? They don't want us to have guns. Why? They don't want us to know the truth. Why? There is no hope for the reconstruction of Europe or the whole world until these intrigues are entirely exposed. There is no possibility of rest until the contagion is recognized and its center of distribution is destroyed. So this is such hot material. It's going to be more than one video. This is page 30. So so it's not too long. I'll end this one and thank you for watching my video. I'm just trying to share the truth here. Germany and the Bolsheviks, which are the Jewish Zionism, Illuminati, Hollywood, banksters, not the good Jews like Henry Macau, who wrote the book, PhD from Canada. Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world, or Rabbi Marvin Antelman, the leader of the Jewish Congress of the United States, who wrote the 2 books, Marvin Antelman, please look it up. I've done videos, it'll be in my videos, future ones. To eliminate the opaque, which is basically like they did in Russia. Anybody who was decent and moral, believed in God, is the enemy. These people want to live like animals. They want us to live like animals. That's the world of Lucifer. God didn't send Jesus so we lived like animals. He didn't overturn the money changers' tables and say stop this because he wanted to have a party and people to be stealing from each other. He taught that people should treat each other how they want to be treated. These people will kill you for that thinking. Thank you. And let's see what the next couple of videos bring. Wake up.